Hello, I'm Jack Bebee, General Manager of Fallbrook Public Utility District. The Public Utility District oversees water and wastewater and recycled service within the community of Fallbrook, really the downtown area, extending south, going out east, as well as up into Duluth. And what my job is to make sure we're providing reliable water, wastewater service every day, 24 hours a day. A number of initiatives we're working on here in Fallbrook. One of the main ones that a lot of people have heard about is we are looking at switching our wholesale water supplier. So the term for it is called detachment, because what it involves is us detaching from the San Diego County Water Authority and detaching ourselves to Eastern Municipal Water District. It's a little bit complicated because water is complicated. There's a lot of entities that are involved to bring water to Fallbrook, but essentially it's moving us closer to the source of supply, and it makes it so we don't have to pay for the infrastructure in San Diego County. The main driver for it is cost of water. So we know cost of water is a big issue here in Fallbrook. I recognize that. I'm a resident in Bonsall with Rainbow. Water bill's a big bill for our household. And so it is something that both us and Rainbow are working on. And it's the cost of water we're paying for with the Water Authority is over $1,800 an acre foot. Acre foot is a unit of water we think about. If you take an acre and put a foot of water over it, that's an acre foot. With Eastern, it's closer to $1,200 an acre foot. So that's a big savings. Cost of water is our main driver in our costs and Rainbow's cost. And so this effort would allow us to basically get the same water we're getting from Metropolitan at a lower price, and that's the driver for this effort. So this process, like a lot of things with water, becomes a bit political. So in order for this to succeed, we need to get this entity called LAFCO to approve it. Even if they approve it, it will ultimately have to be voted on by the residents. So what our governing board and Rainbow's governing board is focused on right now is going through this process with LAFCO, who's called the Local Agency Formation Commission, who's appointed politicians that help oversee special districts like us. Jim Desmond is on there, Andy Vanderlyn, former fire chief. There's a number of officials there's an official from City of San Diego, some special district officials. So there's a number of officials on this. They will ultimately vote if they're going to allow this to move forward. If they do, that just then allows our ratepayers to vote. And that's sort of our position, my position running this organization is that our ratepayers should be allowed to vote on this. So we will be doing outreach. It'll likely come up in February potentially to LAFCO of letting people, the more people that are involved and show up and put their support in it, the more likely it is to pass, to get through LAFCO. They're going to need to hear from our residents that this is an important issue to them and that they do support it. There will be a process for public input. We will be working on getting that information on our website. So if you're for it or against it, there'll be a way to provide that input to LAFCO prior to the February meeting. There'll be a process to go to that meeting, so you can show up at the meeting and speak, or you'll be able to submit comments ahead of time. Ultimately, that information will be up on our website, and we will put that information forward so residents can speak if they support this or if they don't. It should be sometime in January, February, once we know for sure when the item will be in front of LAFCO. The way people can cut down on their water use without upending their daily routines is really for us focused on outdoor use. So much of the water used within Fallbrook, we're a rural community, is outdoor use. It's not indoor use generally driving our water use. There's likely to be mandatory, if it's a dry winter, the state is likely to impose mandatory restrictions. So Fallbrook Public Utility District right now is asking for 15% voluntary reductions in water use. If it stays dry, the governor has signaled he is likely to implement mandatory restrictions. That'll likely be reducing watering days outdoors. It's really outdoor, so there's a number of programs. Grass, for example, is very water intensive. There are programs in terms of getting rebates to replace your grass, so it's focused on really thinking about where and how you use your water outdoors is really where we're going to make savings in water use. So some of the programs that are out there for water use efficiency and outdoor water use reduction, there's the turf removal program. So it's a program through Metropolitan that'll give people $4 per square foot of turf removal. And the idea is not to put in dirt or rocks, but native plants. So the incentive is actually there to take that grass out and not just fill it with concrete, but actually put in native plants, things that help with infiltrating water into the ground. So that's part of that program, is to help you get the grass out, replace it with much more drought tolerant plants. There's also a program through Mission Resources Conservation District, irrigation audits. So they will come in on your property and help you make sure, hey, am I watering in the most efficient way possible? Are my sprinklers even pressure? What are some of those improvements? And there's also funding at times to help make those improvements. Those are really the two main programs that are out there right now. I'll talk a little bit in more detail about water restrictions, because I think there's at times confusion about that. So right now we're at 15% voluntary. So we're asking people, look at your outdoor use, do what you can to reduce your water use. Focused on outdoor watering. Easy things like, this rain event, turn your sprinklers off before that, leave them off for a few days after, not washing down surfaces with the hose. Simple things like that. Even if we go mandatory, so the next step would be mandatory watering days during the week would be the next thing that would happen. There's never a limit to water use. That hasn't, in the past, that's never been where we go and shut your tap off or tell you, hey, you get no more water this month. It generally is a price signal. So what happens is, if we go into further level of restrictions, the more water you use, the more you pay. There's tiers. And so it's generally a financial incentive to get people to reduce their water use as the next thing. Also, if you have an event in which something happens and you use much more water than you typically do, say you had a line break or you needed to fill your swimming pool, that's fine. You're going to pay for the water on your water bill. If you're a sewer customer in Fallbrook, you need to let us know, because your sewer bill is also based on water use. So that's an important thing that happens. So you need to let us know, just so it's not charged on your sewer costs, because they're calculated based on winter water use. But there's not a need to let us know if you say, hey, I'm filling my pool, can I use the water? It's not a water use restriction. It's simply making sure your bill is accurate and you're not getting overcharged, especially on the sewer side.